We're big petrol guys. Yeah, that's what I think of when
Call to order the regular board meeting for Pleasantdale School District 107 Board of Education at 6 p.m. on March 19th, 2025. Can we get a roll call, please? Yes.
Mr. Bronco? Mrs. Linden?
Here.
Mr. Nash?
Here.
Mrs. Walters?
Here.
Mr. Zona?
Here.
Mr. Mason?
Here.
Mrs. Marchione?
Here.
Pledge allegiance. All right, tonight we have the members of our Battle of the Books team here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So I am going to turn it over to Dr. Arundel, who will introduce our guests and tell us a little bit more about Battle of the Books.
Okay, so this year we had 76 students in 5th through 8th grades participate in Battle of the Books. Students were given a list of 16 books starting in October that they were to read. Teams had until February to complete them and remember as many details as possible and their titles. These 13 teams competed against other Pleasantdale Middle School students in the library on Monday, February 24th. During the Battle of the Books competition, the teams were given 10 rounds of 10 questions from the 16 books. The 2 teams with the highest scores at the end of the school battle went on to compete against the top 2 teams from Gurry, Highlands, McClure, and Park on Tuesday, March 11th. The Rapid Readers, our 8th grade team, came in 9th place, and the Page Turners, our 7th grade team, came in 4th place. So great job to everyone. I do have a couple trivia questions for them. Let's see who gets them. Okay?
On the spot.
On the spot. They said they were ready for a challenge. In which book does a character open a piece of mail containing nothing but 2 lice?
Lost here.
That is correct. 7th grade team 1 point. All right. In which book did a safety deposit box contain information for 10 offshore bank accounts? Parker and Harris. 8th grade team 1 point.
Coming down to the wire.
In which book does an earthquake happen right after a treaty is broken?
Is it?
Go ahead, say it. Answer, please.
Steve Jackins.
That is correct.
Nice.
17. All right, and here it comes down to this one question. In which book is someone told not to lick cards because they are covered in poison? Take a guess. There's also a similar TV show with a similar name. Stranger Things Have Happened.
Nice.
All right, there we go. All right, we're ready for the pledge. Okay. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job.
All right. Now go home and read books.
All right. Thank you.
Good job, team.
One quick picture out here. You want to see them?
Next we'll do graph boards.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. In Domain 6 of CKLA, which is our language arts program, Core Knowledge Language Arts, the 2nd graders increased their knowledge of life cycles in nature. They learned about seasonal cycles, flowering plants and trees, animal life cycles, and the water cycle, which we had an example of just a few minutes ago, I think. 2nd graders demonstrated their knowledge by writing informational paragraphs and participating in collaborative group activities. Some examples of their work are on our blackboards. Check them out if you get a chance.
And this was 2nd grade.
Or another.
2nd grade.
Good job.
Next, before we move into open board, I'm going to make a brief statement. After careful consideration, the board has decided to not move forward with the purchase of the Burr Ridge Village Hall. We still welcome your comments and encourage everyone to stay for the board's discussion on this topic later in the agenda. With that, we'll move into open forum. So please know that all individuals addressing the board will be afforded 3 minutes. We will also limit to 15 minutes on any one topic, and we'll take the green forms in the order they were received. The green forms are out in the hallway. If you have a question, we will acknowledge all who have completed the green forms in the minutes of this meeting. Any questions addressed to the board will be answered by the administration within 48 hours. Additionally, for clarification and to ensure that your specific questions are answered, we request that the questions be submitted in writing on the green forms. We have a couple of free forms here, so I'll go ahead and call them in the order here. So Tom Ara.
I made this up before you made your statement, so just go with it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm here today as a resident and previous member of the 2023 Citizen Engagement Committee. As you may recall, I was here last month asking for a community update on additional school facilities. Thank you for last week's update and allowing the community to comment on current plans that were presented. However, I was disappointed in the lack of transparency to the rest of the community by only live streaming the event and not recording for others to view beyond the meeting. A missed community communication opportunity. Also, recent events, well, I'll skip that piece. I'll skip that piece too because we were talking about, no, I'll say it. Others and I appreciate a cost-effective facility presentation, but there were still several comments made such as look before you leap, don't rush into the decision, Lyons Township High School's willingness to discuss land sale options, consideration of elementary school addition plan beyond the current land footprint, and providing a long-term solution, not a higher risk stopgap facilities. Please continue to think outside the box on a solution that may not be limited to the current boundaries presented. I'm here to promote my vision, but present alternatives not completely explored and presented to the community for consideration. In the end, this is a community decision, and District 107 administration and board are obligated to present all those alternatives to the entire community. You are expected to communicate with the entire community. The school currently has many communication methods used every day in teaching that are not being used to update the entire community. My question, first one is, will District 107 commit to recording future community events, including comments, and make those recordings available to the community? Second one is, I'm sure that if the current District 107 board members were challenged in the upcoming election, you would have to make some type of individual statement on preferred facility options. When can the community expect to hear from each District 107 board member on their preferred facility options? Looking forward to the ongoing discussion of facilitating fifth grade realignment and pre-K enhancement. Thank you.
Next is Mark Morathi.
All right, so I just want to show this book. Not sure who's all familiar with this, but every year that I was on the board, every 2 years, I had administration buy one for each board member. It is basically Illinois Association of School Boards policies and related laws, and between that and district policies, you guys can stay protected under the BOE D&O insurance and not face any personal liability. Heard last week, down the block, 40 townhomes are going in and thousands of 3-year-olds are going to show up. LT's going to sell their property and hundreds of thousands of, more 3-year-olds are going to show. In the near term future, and I don't know the date, but administration currently does, everybody 50 years old and older will drop dead, and millions additional 3-year-olds will show up. So the chicken or egg question is, if LT sets this in motion with the sale of their property, are they then not going to have to buy back the property to build a third school to house the billions of 3-year-olds that are going to show up 11 years from now? I get my numbers are silly, but if others can tell Grimm brother-like fairy tales, I can spin a yarn too. So as Mrs. Barker stated last week, the only numbers to trust are Casarda projections. He is the expert in the field for many, many districts for many, many years and has always been correct. Math. I always thought I was good at math. Turns out I'm not. So I have a word math question for you, and that is, for decades, on July 1st of each year, little Johnny has started 2nd grade. Yeah, he's now the tallest and oldest child in 2nd grade. Each year, his 7 parents, we'll call them the Board of Education, provides him with a bushel of apples that we will term fund balance interest apples. He is told to nourish his schoolmates with knowledge, We will call this nourishment education, safety, and occasional maintenance projects. In the future, we are told that his 7 Board of Education parents will provide that bushel of apples, again called fund balance interest apples, but now tell him to use this for a new purpose, debt bond repayment. So if you can only use the fund balance interest apples once, is the nourishment of education, lack of safety, going to be perished by these cuts? Or is there a second bushel of apples that no one has ever known about? That's it.
Thanks.
Oh, it's slightly used, but I can leave it behind.
I have
I
one.
highlighted stewards of the community and fiduciary responsibility.
All right. Next, we'll move into item 4, the consent agenda, which consists of the following. 4A, approve regular meeting minutes of the February 19th, 2025 meeting. 4B, approve closed session minutes of the February 19th, 2025 meeting. 4C, approve payment of the January payroll and February warrants. Becky was our checker this month.
Yes, and I did have a question because it showed we had a 2 million deficit, but learned that that was just because we hadn't made a payment on one of our projects from the summer, so.
Where's the project from the HVAC project?
Thank you. Item 4D, approve the March 2025 personnel report. 4E, approve the Pleasantdale Park District before and after school program intergovernmental agreement. 4F, approve resolution of proposed amendments to the DWC intergovernmental agreement. And 4G, approve governance and planning, section 1, and general school administration, section 3, board policies. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mrs. Linton?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion?
Yes. Next, we'll move into item 5, informational updates. 5A is approve the resolution in support of the Invest in Cook County grant application.
All right, this is exciting. As part of our strategic roadmap, we've been working with the villages of Willow Springs and Burr Ridge, as well as a committed parent volunteer to secure grant funding to allow sidewalks on German Church Road from County Line to Wolf Road. This work has led to the village of Burr Ridge taking the lead in applying for an Invest in Cook grant from Cook County. As stated in the resolution, both villages and the school district recognize the need to improve German Church Road with a safe sidewalk connection to neighborhood schools. Likewise, the German Church Road sidewalk connection to schools and transit project, that is a mouthful, will be a partnership of these villages to study the plan for improvements needed along German Church Road, fill in sidewalk gaps, expand a bridge over Flag Creek, modify the Wolf Road traffic signal for accessibility, enhance a school crossing, and provide a new connection to the Pace regional route that further interconnects with Midway Airport and CTA routes to Chicago. The resolution on the agenda tonight supports our strategic roadmap and is the first step in making our schools more walkable and bikeable. So really the resolution supports the resolution that Burr Ridge put forward to secure grant funding to do the first phase of study around this project. So please don't, I don't want you to think like, oh, we're gonna get this grant and sidewalks are gonna go in next week. That's not the plan. The plan is to first commission the study that's required in order to start the process. So we're basically just saying we're supporting the work that Burr Ridge in partnership with Willow Springs is doing, and really what we'll be able to do is take this resolution once it's, assuming it's approved and signed, and when they apply for their grant, they can include it in the grant. It just strengthens their grant. Cool.
This is fantastic and exciting.
It's good stuff.
And I would even hope that maybe Willow Springs would continue down that path, and also from German Church to 79 where there's not any sidewalks.
Yeah,
That
that's
would be great.
so we're actually working with, there's a plan that Wolf Road expansion plan is supposed to end at, hold on, 79, and we want to we're working to expand that all the way to German Church.
Yeah,
That would be
So,
fantastic.
I mean, please.
So dangerous.
Those are conversations that we're having,
Yeah.
and we're trying to work with the villages and the county and the state, and federal sources and all of that, but that would be the dream, right? If we can connect from county line all the way down German Church to Wolf, and then all of Wolf to German Church, I mean, we have just made the district 90% more bikeable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thanks for having those conversations.
Yeah,
for sure.
thanks for-
It's important stuff. So,
Every time I see a kid riding their bike down Wolf Road from 79 to German Church, I like hold my breath a little bit.
well, and it's funny because Griffin and I are working on the bike bus routes right now, and it's literally like trying to piece, like, maybe if we go through Flag Creek Golf Course, and then, you know,
It's crazy,
it's
right?
tough, but we're trying to figure out where every kid in every neighborhood could at least once a week ride the bike to school. So I just need you to read the resolution, the motion, and then we can
Yep.
approve that.
Can I get a motion to approve a resolution supporting the Village of Burr Ridge Invest in Cook County grant application?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Lenzen?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion?
Yes. Okay. Next, item 5B, approve solar power purchase agreement with IGS Solar LLC.
Awesome. So there are actually two resolutions on the agenda. These were discussed at last month's meeting. As the board knows, Griffin Sontag has worked to develop a plan that will not only save the district money, but is environmentally friendly. Tonight, we're seeking approval on two separate but related issues. The first approval allows the district to move forward with a purchase agreement with IGS Solar, and the second allows us to lease our rooftops to IGS in support of this project. So on the agenda, you see two separate motions that will allow us to move forward with this project.
So for the first one, can I get a motion to approve the IGS solar power purchase agreement and to authorize the superintendent or designee to execute it on behalf of the Board of Education, subject to the approval by the superintendent and board legal counsel of any further revisions prior to execution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. And then the next one
Wait,
is.
hold on, we gotta do a roll call.
Hold on.
Mrs. Lenzen?
Yep.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion?
Yes. Okay. Okay, so the next one is 5C, to approve the rooftop site lease agreement with IGS Solar LLC. So can I get a motion to approve the solar rooftop site lease agreement and to authorize the superintendent or designee to execute on behalf of the Board of Education, subject to the approval by the superintendent and board legal counsel of any further revisions prior to execution?
So moved.
Ooh. I will second.
Mrs. Lenzen?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Next, we'll move into 5D, discussion of the community forum held on March 10th, 2025.
All right, on March 10th, the district held a community forum to hear the community's feedback regarding our plan to address space issues now and into the future, expand early childhood education, including offering full-day preschool and eliminating the preschool wait list, and allowing for a more developmentally appropriate setting for our fifth graders. We have had about 50 attendees who listened to a 30-minute presentation and made by the administration. We then had 20 attendees who provided comments and questions during the comment period of the forum. Additionally, we had 5 community members who viewed the forum via our live stream. Of the 20 speakers, 10 favored the plan and 10 were opposed. The forum allowed the community to provide feedback to the board and administration and is an excellent example of participatory government. We're grateful to the community members who turned out to give feedback and look forward to continuing to engage with the public in the future.
Okay.
Discussion.
So we truly appreciate all the feedback provided by the community members, whether it was through the community forum, emails, direct conversations with either administration or board members. Based on the conversations Dave has had with the individual board members, there was a lack of majority support by the board for this specific project. Therefore, if the board is in agreement, I believe the next steps would be to carefully reflect on the input we've received and then collaborate to explore if there are any alternative solutions that align with our priorities. So, open that up for discussion.
Sounds good.
Questions,
That
concerns?
summarizes it. Yeah, I was gonna say, great job summarizing.
Well done.
I was just so appreciative that we had such a good turnout, and
Yeah.
I appreciate the community coming out and, you know,
Good stuff, for sure. Awesome.
Thank you. Okay, so item 6 would be administration's reports, starting with 6A, professional learning update.
Yeah, so each spring, the administration provides the board with an update on our professional learning for the year. As you know, there are several paths teachers can follow to engage in professional learning. Tonight, Jennifer Ban will provide the board with an update on professional learning in the district and our plan for professional learning into the summer. So, Jennifer, the floor is yours.
Which one's up? So which one goes forward? Forward is it? Okay. Great. Okay, so I'm here to present our annual professional learning update. And so, before I do that, there's 4 different ways we engage our staff in professional learning. So one of them is our district institute full days and half days. Another one is through workshops, whether they request to go to a workshop or a conference, or we actually send our staff to workshops and conferences that we find would be beneficial. We do instructional coaching. We have several trained coaches in the district who also hold full-time positions, so we don't have a designated instructional coach, so they coach when they can, and that makes it like a little challenging to move the program way forward as we'd like to, but we're inching along bit by bit, and we're happy with what we're doing. And then the last one is a newer program that I introduced a couple of years ago called PD Pathways. And so that's where teachers take advantage of learning opportunities independently and through either a list of topics that we provide them or topics that they come up with on their own that would be beneficial to their job description. And they get to earn in-district credit towards advancement on the salary schedule. So I'm going to go over each of those 4 areas in this update this evening. Okay, so the first is our district institutes. So I have a state mandated training really big on there because that's going to be a recurring theme through all of the things we did this year. If you'll recall last year when I did this report, I let you know that the state of Illinois had passed a law, or the legislature had passed a law that revised the state mandated trainings that teachers and all staff members have to do. There are anywhere from, I don't know, 20 to 25 mandated trainings. Some of them are every other year, some of them were every year, some of them were every 3 years, some of them were every 5 years. And this law was an attempt to streamline those trainings, put them into buckets that made sense, and have staff renew most of those trainings every 5 years. So at the beginning of this year was the reset of that law, and everybody across the state had to start over on a 5-year cycle of state mandated trainings, which means for our purposes, our ESPs, our our certified staff, and our nurses and our maintenance staff, and all of the administrators, everybody in the district had to start their 5-year cycle, which consisted of about 20 to 22 to 24 mandated trainings that had to be completed within the first 6 months of school. So,
are these the GNC trainings?
GCN, we don't use GCN anymore, but yes.
Oh, like.
Same.
We use a
Same
different
concept?
platform,
Okay.
yeah, same
Okay.
concept, different
Got it.
platform, more engaging platform.
Okay.
And that platform, it's called the Ed Leaders Network.
Oh.
And it also will manage everybody's trainings for them. So I no longer have to assign people trainings every year.
That's great.
I assign them a bundle, and every time they have to renew something, they'll get an email saying, oh, time for you to do your mandated report, or oh,
Yeah.
time for you to do your bloodborne pathogens annually. So some of those trainings are still annual. Some are still every 2 years.
Those
The
are-
lovely state legislature added a bunch after we passed the law. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
so those are getting those are getting like built in after like a certain amount of years, and then those will go to 5 years as well. So again, glad I don't have to manage all that for every single staff member anymore. But that took a bulk of our time on our institute days and half days. Not that we devoted the entire time, but we made it a goal to devote some time on each of those days leading up to the deadline so that our staff could get them done, because these trainings aren't short. and the nice thing about them is that teachers can earn teachers and ESPs can earn professional development hours for these now. So that's another benefit of this platform that we're using that GCN couldn't give us, is that they can put in those hours that they spend doing the training towards their license renewal. So some of the trainings were an hour, some were 2 hours, some were 3 hours. It didn't really take that long, but we wanted to give them the time to be able to get all of them done and be in compliance. So you'll see it's kind of a running theme through everything we did this year. Engagement kind of went down a little bit and our topics like lightened a little bit so we could make sure that we got all of this done. And so some District Institute topics. So we started off the year with a keynote on supporting neurodiverse learners, and the same presenter also did some breakout sessions on executive functioning geared toward different grade level bands, and also a parent presentation. The middle school, we offered a training this year on facilitating discussions on complex topics. We had a presenter meet with our staff over Zoom for about an hour and a half. It was an optional session, but we had about 35 of our teachers attend. And then we did a follow-up planning session with the same presenter to kind of go through and brainstorm, like if we did discussions on some of these topics, like here's how we could have those discussions respectfully and do well in our classrooms with those types of discussions. So it was a great training.
Can you give an example of a complex topic?
Yeah, so actually Mrs. Deaton tried some out in her class. She actually started with, what was it? It was something, should the federal government fund exploration to space? Things like that, yeah. And then like sometimes we get into a little more complex topics when we study things like, the Holocaust and propaganda, or when we look at different themes that come up in our literature and things like that. So yeah, nothing like super crazy.
Thank you.
But they also ran through like practice topics, and that was one of them, was like, should the federal government fund space exploration? And then everybody takes a different side and has to present their arguments, and so it allowed our staff to like design discussion spaces where they can explore all sides of a topic and all points of view. It was really cool. CPI and de-escalation, curriculum and team planning. We are, obviously Parent Square is already in effect, but we had not rolled that out to our staff yet, so we did start doing some training on Parent Square. And then Q is the new Skyward student management system that we're moving to next year. It has been a year-long preparation, and so that's also something that you're going to see next year, is getting our staff transitioned over to these 2 new platforms. So we will dedicate some time next year during Institute Days to making that happen.
So Q is a new platform, it's not like a new name for Skyward or something? Oh, it's a new name.
It's a
It's
new
a Skyward
name for
product.
It's like Skyward,
Cumulative.
yes, and
Okay.
it's way
Q.
improved.
Bad
So,
grammar.
Yeah.
if parents already have that on their phones,
It's way easier for parents.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
the whole purpose, is that it's user-friendly from both ends.
Yeah.
okay.
But it's a big undertaking
Yeah.
to switch over from
Yeah.
the
Some-
traditional Skyward to Q.
Okay.
Yep. Some of our stuff's going to transfer over, some of it we have to rebuild. We're looking at our elementary report card, because now's a perfect time to do so. So yeah, I should have an update on that next year. Our specials teams worked on their scope and sequences, and then we also gave staff time to make PD pathways on our Institute Days. So like I said, some of it was dedicating time to get these mandated trainings done, because we want to make sure our district's in compliance, but we still managed to fit in a lot of topics that were pertinent to what's going on this year.
Can you remind me what's CPI again? I can't remember.
God, what does it stand for?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't put you on the spot.
Intervention.
Crisis prevention, intervention.
Oh, okay,
If
got it.
concerned about
Thank you.
access.
And all of our related personnel and special education staff are all
Yeah.
trained, and we train
Perfect.
them annually and biannually. And our assistants, thank you. Okay, and then state mandated training.
Yep.
So, like I said, because we dedicated a lot of time to these mandated trainings, obviously all the time we gave staff during the Institute Days was not necessarily enough to complete all these trainings, so they did have to do some of them on their own time as well. So our professional learning, by the numbers, like went down a little bit, but not like anything significant. So we still had about 49 staff members attending conferences or workshops, some of those us-driven, some of them driven. 12 teachers working on or have completed a PD pathway this year. That's slightly down, but we had teachers doing multiple pathways too. So that was also, so that 12 number is, it might be 12, but way more than 12 pathways got done. And I have some examples on there of some of the things that our staff did. And then 3 of our teachers engaged in instructional coaching cycles so far this year. They can do that through the second year mentoring program. So a lot of times I really encourage our staff to be like, oh, if you are a second year teacher, doing an instructional coaching cycle is a great way to work on your stretch goal that you work on throughout the year. It just so happened that a lot of our staff members had goals that really facilitated, like, had them going and observing other teachers more so than getting coached, because they wanted to see examples of what they were working on for their stretch goal in other classes. So in some years we might have more instructional coaching cycles, in some years we might have fewer. And then you can also do an instructional coaching cycle through PD Pathways, which we did have a teacher take us up on that too. We may have more now that, once we get through I-1. So that's our professional learning by the numbers. And then PD Pathways, so we've expanded that program to over 20 different options. We've included instructional coaching, our PDL Expeditions program that encourages them to explore either differentiated instruction, social emotional learning, or instructional technology. And then a lot of program ambassadorships, Seesaw, Schoology, Vocabulary, all the Apple and Google products. We've added a few more courses as well. Oh, before I get to that, we've added a few more courses about mindset and data analysis and some math related courses. There's a science of reading course that we're offering now through Amplify, the company where we purchase our language arts curriculum from. So, and then teachers also propose their own. This year our speech pathologists came up with some really great options through LADSI, our special ed cooperative. So they all 3 of them at the elementary just finished AI tools for speech pathologists in therapy. And it was like a self-paced 6-week course that they did, and they did it together too, which is great for their collaboration. So I always encourage our teachers, if you see something that you feel like is really beneficial, send it, propose it, send it my way, we'll vet it, we'll see if it's doable, and if it is, it can be a PD pathway for you. We just have to make sure that there's like a number of PD hours that we can assign to it, and that there's some form of work being done and evidence of completion once they finish it. So that's been really cool too. We did decide that we will allow our teachers to do a maximum of 36 clock hours annually, which is the equivalent of those 3 semester hours and that advancement on the salary schedule. So every 12 work hours or clock hours is the equivalent of 1 semester hour. So they can earn up to 3 a year. They can also start a project in 1 year and finish it in the next year. That's just going to go towards their 3 hours for the next year. So sometimes you think you're ready to start a project, and then life happens and things go on, but you really want to finish the project. Like, they sign up to do Apple Teacher and like, yeah, I'm going to get that done in 3 months, and it takes them 9. That's fine. We still want them to do it. So we want to encourage the completion of those projects. But it's 3 hours a year. And then once you sign up for a PD pathway, you're assigned a coach for support. So I'm a coach, Mrs. Babolka is a coach, Mrs. Steinmetz is a coach. We'll probably expand our coaches for next year. And all we do is we meet with that teacher or a group of teachers. We go over what they're going to do. We help them set up a plan to get it done. And then we might consult with them throughout if they need it. If not, they're the ones that they report. We're the ones they report their completion to. I process it with the business office, and then they're done. So I've been able to coach teachers on doing instructional coaching, on and anybody who picks one of those outside options. Like I coached the speech pathologists. I met with them all. I had them talk to me about what they wanted to do, what their plan was, when we could expect completion, and all that good stuff. So it's really fun to get to see our teachers grow and learn independently as well, in addition to all the things we have to offer for them, both in the district and out of the district. I don't know why that looks like that. And then finally, we're getting ready for summer learning. Use this new clicker. So we're getting ready for summer work and summer PD. So a lot of curriculum projects are going to be kind of put out to the staff, but also more will be proposed by our staff. We just talked about that in our curriculum council meeting last week. So some of the ones we know are gonna happen is we're gonna do some curriculum work around the MTSS process. We've gone a long way in meeting the goals that we set for this year, and so now we gotta like finish up a couple things and move on to the goals for next year. SEL and executive functioning will have some committee work being done. We are going to form a elementary school report card committee and really look at our report card and make it more useful and meaningful to our elementary school parents, so we're really excited about that. We're gonna work on encoding in K3, so that is, it's in addition to our phonics program. It's not just learning the phonics skills, but also learning how to write the words. So right now.
I have a question, with the report card committee, are you talking about actual report cards, not like the Illinois State?
No,
report card,
like
right,
our
okay.
report card that
Okay,
we send home to parents,
Okay.
yeah. We wanna make it more like skill-based, so
Yeah.
that you actually know where your child is in a skill. So like those math reports that you guys get home,
Yeah,
we wanna start making the report card look more like that.
that's great, yeah.
Yeah. So the K3 encoding is in addition to our phonics program. So right now when we teach our students phonics, they're really learning their phonics, but some of you with younger ones might notice that they're coming up with some really interesting ways of spelling words because they know those sounds now. So they sound like real words, but they are not real words that they are spelling, like school spelled S-K-O-O-L, because it sounds like school. So we need to put some encoding work into that phonics program so that our students will know the patterns of, like the phonics patterns and when they are used and for what purpose. So we've got to do some work on that. That's something we'll do in addition to what our phonics program already does. It does it, but it doesn't do it as well as we'd like it to. And no resource is perfect, so we're always going to have to do our own work to make it what we want it to be. And then we're also going to work on, with the adoption of Bridges 3, Bridges got rid of what's called proficiency targets, and they kind of made all skills not equal, but they used to have where whatever the targeted skills were in the unit, those were weighted higher than the questions on the non-targeted skills in the unit, so targeted for mastery. So if you were doing a fractions unit, there was measurement and data in the unit. Within that unit, the measurement and data was what was expected to be mastered, and the fractions were just exposure. And so they used to do a system where those were weighted, and they took away the weighting. And that's become a challenge for us this year because we have a system where we track all of the student data, and it's making the kids look like if they miss a fraction question, it's the same weight as missing a measurement and data question, but the measurement and data is what's for mastery. So we're gonna take our assessment guide and we're gonna take our unit assessments and we're gonna go through and do those proficiencies for all of our assessments in all of the grade levels. So we'll have a team for each grade level and it's only 7 units per grade level, we'll be fine, we can do it. But we feel like that's something that's important so that we know exactly where our kids are within each unit, within each grade level. And then we're not getting clouded by, a one question a kid got wrong on something that actually was only supposed to be for exposure. And then professional learning. So we're gonna offer some organization in Google trainings. We're gonna offer some tech tools for the classroom trainings. And then we're going to do something new this year that I'm really excited about called Pleasantdale PD from your patio. And we're going to offer these virtual learning sessions throughout the summer that you can join from anywhere. And they'll be teacher presented on different topics. So it came to be from a conversation I had with our reading specialist about how we wanted to do these little bite-sized PDs for our teachers on like how to teach certain phonics skills, or different ideas to do things with high frequency words. But we didn't want to bring everybody in for a 2.5-hour workshop. So we started talking about what if we did virtual learning and you could join from anywhere. So it started as, I'll just have the specialist do this PD from your patio. But then we started thinking like, oh my goodness, there's all these topics that people want to learn about. And we have so many skilled teachers with so many strengths. So it's going to be more of an open call for proposals. We're going to survey teachers and find out what topics they want to learn about, but we're also going to find out who wants to present on these topics and what types of topics. I was just talking with a teacher this morning who wants to present on whole brain teaching, because that's what she's doing her second year teacher stretch goal on, and she's like, oh, and I can partner with this other speech pathologist, and we can do it together. And so we're gonna have some really exciting, innovative summer PD, and it's going to be accessible to everybody because you will not have to leave your patio if you do not want to. So that's coming. I'm sure I'll send it out to you guys through a Friday update so you can see what it looks like and how it's gonna go. But we're really excited about it. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I presented it to Curriculum Council last week, and they were all excited about it. And when they're excited, that means it's great. So, and then our summer work budget. So I did budget $5,000 toward professional development workshops, not knowing that we were gonna maybe offer like a ton of summer PT now that I wasn't expecting. So we might shift some of the curriculum projects over if we need to, but we never like go wildly over budget or run out of money to support our teachers' work during the summer. So we'll make sure that they can do what they need to do. And Mr. Sontag is very good about making sure we can pay everybody to do what they need to do over the summer. So yeah, that's what we have going on this summer, and I didn't change the quote because I really liked it. It's awesome. So, any questions?
Oh, I was gonna say, should I remember the question?
Any questions for Jennifer? Or you good?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Well done.
Okay. Next is item 6B, Lyons Township Treasurer's Office Membership Update.
Right, this past summer, the Illinois General Assembly passed House Bill 305, which was signed into law on August 9th, 2024, becoming Public Act 103-0790. Among other things, this new law gives the Township Treasurer's Office member districts more control over their membership in the office. Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations, Griffin Sontag, has been keeping a close eye on the office and has a presentation that outlines our options and a recommendation for the board. So, Griffin, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Was this your first time going? Isn't this the start of your new cycle with the TTO?
Being a trustee?
Yeah.
Oh no, we've been meeting monthly since October.
So sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I just wanted you to highlight that.
And that has no play in this discussion.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Although that might
Sorry,
not.
okay.
No, good question though. I mean, truly, once I was appointed as a trustee, once the law came out, and that's kind of what I wrote in the executive summary, the thinking in the mind is, okay, let's see where this goes, right? We now have an option. We used to have to be forced to be there. Now we have an option. So always looking at different parts. Is this me doing this?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
There you go. I talk with my hands still, from teaching. So once I've just always been thinking about it and watching, and I've done all the background due diligence that needs to be done, not knowing if we would ever use it or not. Started off there, but some things have changed, and I want to present what I've learned and what I want, what I recommend that we do to move forward. So, brief history. So the past 3 years, and other recent administrations, you can see relationships been positive, work's been done well, accurate. We've been pleased with the returns we've received on our investments, and any of the services that they provide. Costs have varied in range, but a decent number, average, would be probably around $60,000 as you look each year. So you're just not going to get too detailed into the costs and trying to add up costs and stuff with the recommendation, but you'll see that I'm going to say it's going to be less if we make a change. So why did we choose to explore? Like I mentioned, the legislation came out which made it possible to explore. 3 districts in the township have decided to withdraw. They've already approved resolutions to withdraw. So with the way part of how the costs are, they're split across the districts that are still there. So less districts, similar costs, going to cost more for us.
Yep.
And I'll get back to that in 1 second. So also the Board of Trustees has engaged a search firm to hire a new treasurer to start in July.
So there's going to be some change.
So there's going to be change in leadership as well, which is just an unknown. The trustees, which I'm one of, will be part of the hiring process, so that's a positive, but it's still unknown who might come into the office, their experience level, running the office, leadership, all of that. And with at least 3 districts leaving, they may have to make some difficult decisions to cut down the office, and will that impact just a lot of unknowns. So those are the reasons that I wanted to continue. So if we did not have the Lyons Township Treasurer's Office, so we would need to do those following things, and I'll have a bigger list later, but acquire a new banking partner, because as our money comes in, whether it's from tax revenue or from grants, other things, it goes into the bank that's connected with the township, and then we journal entry it into the right accounts in the right locations. They do a lot of that moving of the money, and then I approve it. So they kind of set it up, tee it up for me, and then I go through and triple check it and approve it. So banking, investments, same way. We get the quarterly investment reports. I believe you're all on those as well. The money comes in, it's got to go in the right funds where the money is that's being invested. They do all of our investments. Purchase financial software, still working on what that could look like in different scenarios. But we use a financial software that we are not interested in changing. We've put in a lot of time and effort to train and to learn the financial software. There's a surety treasurer's bond just in the background that's always there. And then increase current staff to handle the workload. And again, I'll show you the list of things that the treasurer's office supports us with. Obviously our 1.5 people in the business office besides me are working on payroll, bookkeeping. They're working hard doing what they're doing, and then the township treasurer's office is like kind of like a supplement to finish off some of those processes. We don't print checks here for like when we pay our bills. We've tried to shift most people to ACH, but we still print about 50 checks a month after you approve bills. So that happens at the treasurer's office, and we go over and get those. It also helps with our internal controls through the audit process by having the treasurer's office there to, because otherwise, again, there's just 3 of us in the office, and it's tough to make sure that we're good control-wise.
So sorry, what is ACH?
Just like the electronic transfer of money to pay the bills.
Yeah. Like online banking? Correct. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, so we've had issues with just general getting bills and checks in the mail and that sort of thing. They look like checks, sometimes they don't make it to their destination, and then it's a lot more work. So we'd rather just be able to push the button and it transfers straight into the other company's account.
Got it. Okay.
So we've moved quite a few over, but we're still working on the stragglers.
Okay.
All right, so what do other districts do for these services? So most school districts in Illinois are not part of a treasurer's office. I mean, this is only a Cook County thing that remains. And now there are districts, across Cook County who have been leaving their treasurer's offices. So other districts really follow one of those three ways. They hire staff. Most districts have more staff then in order to complete these activities in the business side. Some share across neighboring districts. That happens more down in the central Illinois and so forth. And then others contract out to private providers that are able to support them. And it's maybe more cost effective to do it that way in certain cases. So two real options. Option one, which I'm not recommending, but I wanted to kind of highlight it, would be we would bring this all in-house. We would take it over. We do all those things before acquiring all those people. In terms of like the partners, the banks, we'd open the accounts that we'd have multiple accounts, one for payroll and one for our accounts payable. We'd acquire investment partner, which there are multiple options that school districts across the state use. I've communicated with multiple ones just to kind of learn about their processes, learn about their fees, and much of it's all very similar. They try to maximize your money by knowing your bill schedules. You know, like our payroll's the 15th and the 30th, so they make sure that things are short-term and liquid and going to come due on the 13th, so we can have it in the account on the 14th, so it can be direct deposited on the 15th, and so forth. So there's a whole process that you go through, and you know, in order to do that, amongst many other things, again, increasing our staff and going there. So the anticipated overall cost with this option will definitely increase for the district. I just want to say, like, I mean, it's not about the amount of work that would happen. I mean, I would be doing more work, the staff, whoever we hired, all of that is something that, you know, if this is the option, then that's where we go. But I don't recommend it right now because I've found this other option that I wasn't really expecting. So,
Well, okay.
here's the other option. I mean, here we go. So, and this is it's going to seem kind of maybe like weird up front, and it did for me as well. I've been working on this for months, so kind of in the background, just seeing, could this happen? What are the pitfalls? What are the pros? What are the cons? As I mentioned on one of the previous slides, sometimes you contract with another agency or a private provider. In this case, I was talking with the treasurer at Proviso Township, really about how we would, when we got out, kind of wanted a third view if we got out and we did our own investments and our own banks and how to do it. And he's very helpful, so helpful. Introduced me to his staff and talked about what they're doing in Proviso. And conversation came about, well, what about contracting with them? Like, do they have room to take us on, not as a member of their you know, treasurer's office, wouldn't have a seat at the table, wouldn't be able to vote on anything, but just they have the people there, they're doing this for 14 districts, they know the whole list of things that treasurer's office do for other treasurer's office. Could they do that? And you know, I kind of broached well, what would that cost? Like, what would that look like? We haven't gotten down to the final costs, but if we did something similar to the shared costs, again, we combining with 14 other districts, we could get our costs down from that 60,000 closer to like 40,000. We'd have the same services. We just, instead of driving to Lyons Township to get the checks, we'd have to drive to Westchester to the Proviso Township office and get the checks. So had several conversations, consulted, and we think that this would be an option. I will say, and I say it later too, but this is all dependent on their trustees saying, you know, 107, you're welcome to contract with us, and we agree on an intergovernmental agreement and so forth. So how would it work? This would be different than, and I think this is a really important piece maybe for some people that have more history than I do here, maybe the greater community members. You know, why would you, if the law says you can leave a treasurer's office, why would you go to another treasurer's office? We're not going to another treasurer's office. We're not able to do that. We are contracting for their services another treasurer's office. So it's a little bit of a nuanced distinction, and I could see how it could get lost in translation, but I just think that distinction is really important. So what we would do is we would contract with them through an IGA, and we, you know, my guess would be we'd do it for a year, and then we'd discuss how it went, pros and cons, and then we'd renew if it was going well. If it's not going well, then we go on our own, and we've got to, you know, do what we talked about as option one, kind of, where it's going to be a little more expensive for us, but we're gonna take everything on here, and we'll do all those parts that are there. So we would work on the IGA over the next month if kind of the feedback is, yeah, let's keep pursuing this going forward. And because there's more member schools, they also have a larger investment pool. You know, they're in the 700,000 invested. So just that whole scale, you can, I'm sorry? 700 million, thank you. Yeah. No, 700 million. Thank you for correcting that. That is a really important number. So really important though is that the larger investment pool with those 14 districts allow for your investments they've got more that's liquid to be able to pay out, but then they've got more that's got some longer term investments when the market is right for longer term investments. And that's the part that's, in the end, I think the investment will be similar to what happens with Lions, which tends to be a little bit better than some of the other options that are out there. How would it be different? So this is also key. How many people from the PTTO, the proviso, are leaving? The answer is 0. They had 14, they're keeping 14 for next year. So that, to me, is one of the biggest selling points of all of this, where I'm like, I've called and talked to some of the trustees there, some of the people in my role who serve as trustees, like, I've asked, how is it? Services are great, all of this is we're here, like, we don't plan to leave, we really like the person in charge. Another one, just to throw out, like, one of the reasons why it might be lower too, attorney's fees at LTTO have been high. I asked the treasurer, what have your attorney's fees been? And he said less than $2,000 every year. Like, they do not spend money, they have not been spending money on attorney's fees. So, which is great, and something that is definitely a positive. So I've kind of alluded to these services that both the treasurer's offices do, but this is why I'm saying that if we went on our own, we'd have to take on an additional staff in order to do what we do. So not an exhaustive list, but it's a big list of things that are happening, and a lot of things are related to you can just see all the different parts that come through, but there is a lot of things that happen on kind of their back end that have been going very well, and Proviso Township, all indications are from the trustees I've talked to, going very well, and like I said, they're sticking around, so they're very happy with what's going on. So the recommended next steps would be to approve a resolution to withdraw from the Lyons Township Treasurer's Office, and we do that next month. In addition, I would work between now and then to on an intergovernmental agreement to contract the services with the Proviso Township Treasurer's Office for 1 year, starting July 1st, and for that one fiscal year. It's important, if possible, to, if we're gonna, regardless of what we're doing, if we're gonna leave the treasurer's office, it would really be prudent to do bullet 1 next month, because I would need time to do some of the things that we need to do and ensure that we've set up the transfers and the accounts that we would need to set up and things like that. So I don't want you to feel pressure to do that, but that's why we're bringing it now and hoping that we can have discussion now and then move to an approval for both of these in April and move forward. Quote. There you go.
I like it.
There you go. I had a couple and I chose that one.
Yeah, that's a great.
Any questions for Griffin?
But yeah, it's supposed to be a discussion. I know I talked at you more, but I want to make sure you feel comfortable and you understand what we're doing, the distinction, the nuance between we're not joining Proviso, we are contracting with.
So what's the downside to contracting versus joining? Obviously not a seat at the board of trustees.
Yeah, not a seat
But
at-
functionally, what does it impact
You know what?
negatively?
Personally, I don't think much. They've been very stable in what they're doing. They have a really good 14 trustees. And they just, one of their goals is to, basically to get the best services they can for the least amount of money. So we wouldn't have a seat at the table. If somebody came up with this harebrained idea, we're gonna go spend whatever, $1 million on something, like, they could vote for it, and if our agreement is related to the share, then we'd have to pay that share. They're not gonna do that, number one, because they really wanna keep the costs down. That's a big part of what they're doing. The other part is, because that pool is so big, our share, we ran the numbers just to see what would our share be. I'm rounding, but it's 2.9%. So if there was a bill that was unknown, that was $100,000 extra next year, we're gonna pay $2,900 extra. So we're still in like saving money by
What
making
percentage
that
of the
investment.
Lions pool are we?
Uh,
Defections?
I don't wanna throw out a number, I need to double check that.
But higher than
It's higher than that, yeah, higher than
Because they have a
that.
smaller,
Well, right, yeah.
fewer members,
Fewer
smaller
members, but yeah.
pool, their big share left.
Between
with
5 and
LT.
10, I would feel pretty confident.
I think something though that's important to mention to your question is we honestly can't join the Proviso Township because we're not in Proviso Township.
Right.
So the best we can do is contract with them.
Right,
Mhm.
and I'm just saying, trying to figure out the difference between contracting with them versus being a trustee of Lions.
Yeah, we don't have any
Oh,
say. I mean,
yeah.
if next year, I mean, the treasurer wouldn't want me to say this, but say the treasurer's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, and the trustees are like, we're gonna remove the treasurer and get a new treasurer. Well, you know, we're riding along for that ride. But as of the next year, and I'm sure the IG will have a period of time where we'll decide when we're getting out, we would get out at the year. And we would pay the bill for that year, and then we'd be all done. So,
Griffin, do you foresee any pushback from the LTTO about leaving? Because initially when this House bill passed,
right,
there was differing opinions as to whether it applied to us and whatnot.
right. I don't believe so, and the reason why I don't is 3 have already left. So, the conversations we're having now as a trustee, an open session, you can check the agendas and then everything. We have a subcommittee meeting to draft bylaws for the LTT Board of Trustees. And in those bylaws, one large section that multiple trustees who are actually departing is about withdrawal. So they're going to be clearly delineating what that withdrawal process will look like. So I don't think they're going to, I mean, I think at this point there's 3, maybe 4. There's also West 40, which isn't necessarily a school district, but another government entity that has already left. So there's, I mean, they'd be, here's the other part. We're the trustees who would decide to quote unquote fight it. So, you know, if there's a proposal to fight this and we want to sue, we want to do whatever, now you have CSBOs from all these school districts who would have to say yes to that.
Right. I thought we had the minority vote though, okay.
Yeah, I don't even look at it that way anymore
Okay.
because the way that we work and there have been 2 observers from League of Women Voters who have been there who have commented at the meetings that they've been the most informative and robust meetings that they've ever seen, and they've been coming for 5 to 10 years, they said, because we're asking questions that maybe weren't asked before. So yeah, I don't even look at it on who's north and south or canals or not, or we're all like we're kind of moving forward. So
And those other districts that are leaving, what are they doing? What's their plan?
yeah, I don't know what's public and what's not public, and who's kind of finished that. I believe, and I feel like I'm pretty comfortable to say, I believe 2 out of the 3 are moving to on their own, and 1 is larger and has the staff. They might have to add a little bit, but they're able to take it on. And 1 is smaller, but they've added staff in the last couple of years due to retirements and other things and new changing of roles. And the person that's in my role has a background in that. So they're kind of going on their own and going to do option 1. And I think 1 other district is still, their board's going to decide soon.
But there is a district that is considering this as an option.
Yes, like strongly considering it. So I'm hoping we're not the only one that's gonna do this option. I think it's a good option and I think it's a good option. So I'm hoping at least 1 other district will join contracting.
Sorry, you want to go first? Oh, sorry. So you had said that the Proviso Township Board would have to vote to allow us in.
Mhm.
When would that be?
Yeah, so they meet quarterly.
Okay.
And they're meeting on April 16th, which is also our next meeting day. They're meeting during the day.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay. I'm just curious, so if they say like, nope, sorry, we're at max capacity, we don't wanna bring anyone in, do we automatically default to option one, or do we go like basically to shop for, not shop, you know what I mean, look for another
Yeah.
independent?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we would, yeah, we'd have to have that conversation probably next time.
Okay. I was
But
just curious.
we would know, I think at that point, we'd need to know if we're gonna stay or if we're gonna approve a resolution to leave the Lyons Township Treasurer's Office.
Got it. Okay, and then say if we did go with option one, how much, additional staff would we need to bring on to like handle the workload?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think it's one person.
Full-time,
I
part-time?
think so.
Okay, I mean, I'm
I think
just
so.
curious.
I mean, maybe we'd start part-time and see if we couldn't do it. I mean, that's kind of how we added a part-time staff, within the last couple of years.
Okay.
So I could see trying to squeeze as much as we could.
Got it.
But my concern would be that kind of the nitty-gritty day-to-day
Mhm.
would be consuming my time.
Sure.
Whereas right now, fortunately, I'm looking at other things at times, like solar to save us money,
Oh,
or other
absolutely.
grants that are not, government grants and things
Right.
like bringing some of these things, HVAC project, and what, I would hesitate, and we'd have to see when we got there. But I don't want to
Of
miss
course.
out on continuing to do what I think I'm doing to support the district instead of hiring a part-time person
100%.
or a full,
You're right. I think something else to be cognizant in that kind of move, if we brought it in-house, is, to your point, you brought it up high level, but is like the internal control structure. Like when we're talking
Yeah.
about segregation of duties, you're
Yeah.
now talking about vendor setup, payables, recording the journal entries, the physical
Mhm.
distribution of cash, and it's a lot harder in a smaller district when
It
you
is.
don't have all that staff to properly segregate those. And then, you don't want
Right.
failure controls and have, not a clean
course.
audit report. So there's
Mhm.
those
Oh.
considerations that make it a little bit more difficult in our situation, I think, as well.
Right.
You're exactly right.
Well, I'm just like worried, like what if they say like, no, like Pleasantdale can't come in, I don't wanna, like, I'm just asking if we have like a plan B, I don't want it just to default on you, like,
Yeah, no, it's,
oh,
Same.
got it, oh,
We
right.
also, I've also got
Yeah.
some feedback
Okay,
from some
we
of
have
the
a
other
plan.
districts that they're amenable to
Oh.
moving forward with the contract.
Got it, okay, and that's
Yeah.
last question, I
and,
promise.
yeah, and to Dr. Belzett's point, I mean, I have as well. I wouldn't be standing up in front of you if I wasn't pretty sure, unless something changes, which I'll tell you
Oh.
about.
Okay,
But we're on the path to joining.
Oh,
but
okay.
There's still a vote that has to happen, and
got it, okay.
there's still a month between now and then.
Got it.
so.
But it doesn't seem like there would be a downside for them to take us on, like it doesn't seem like it would be negative. And then you had said we would do it for a year, is that standard a year, or would they ask for a 5-year contract, or do you feel confident that we can get a 1-year contract?
Well, I think 1 year from both sides.
Okay.
I think that would
Yeah.
actually be a positive
Yeah, I
from
don't
their
wanna
trustees
convert
too.
Right.
The downside, in my opinion, would be, they're planning to keep on the same number of staff and take on another district or two.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
And so they're gonna be spread just a little bit thinner.
Mhm.
But the positive side is that we're gonna split that pro rata, we're gonna split the stuff, instead of by 14, hopefully by 15, 16
Right.
districts, so, and it's designed by size of, there's a whole formula for it, which is why we're only 2.9%, we're not like 1/14 or 1/15.
Right.
But there's a positive that their costs will come down a little bit by letting us join.
Oh, perfect, thank you. Good.
Cool. Thanks. We'll bring a resolution forward and an IGA forward next month.
Okay, if you have any
Wonderful.
questions, obviously reach out to Dr. Belzat or me.
Thanks, Griffin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Griffin. Nice job.
All right. Next is item C, review board policy 7.180.
Right, so I've included our bullying policy, which is 7/180. Each year, we're required to upload this policy to the Illinois State Board of Education for review. To comply with new reporting laws, we need the board to approve some slight changes to the policy. Specifically, we've added language requiring us to make reasonable efforts to notify parents of a bullying incident within 24 hours of us being notified of the incident, which is now state law. We've also added to the policy, and these specific words need to be in the policy, publicly accessible on the district's internet website. right now it says accessible on the district's website. So we need to add publicly an internet website, which internet website is a bit of an oxymoron, but that's the way the state wants it.
Oh, that's
So,
interesting.
so we've added that to the policy. It's in the draft form, and we would put it on the consent agenda as we do with all policies next month for approval, and then upload that to ISB.
And these are cross changes.
Correct. Correct. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Okay, next is item 7. Items for the next agenda includes facility development, freshman preparedness report, final staffing recommendations, summer construction update, service contract approvals, swearing in of board members, board reorganization, review board meeting calendar May 2025 through April 2027. Feedback on the agenda? Okay. Next, item 8 is open forum. Approach the board.
Can I ask a question real quick? So it says, for the bullying one, it says review 23.
I'll change it
If we're
to.
gonna.
I'll change to revise. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just like.
It would be revised next month because that's when it'll be
Oh,
approved.
got it. Okay, so don't look at the dates basically. Okay, got it.
Right.
Thank
I'll
you.
add. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Good.
no, I just, thank you.
Tom Arga?
Yes. I'll preface this like I always do. I'm here as a resident and a previous board member of 2023 Citizen Engagement Committee. As part of the 2023 new third school campus presentation, District 107 also defined several life safety projects that needed to be accomplished in the 2 existing schools. In January 2024, with shelving of the new school project, I requested that all these projects have a target completion date of August 2024. At the time, I was informed several would be done during the summer of 2024. However, a couple required engineering. I believe the remaining projects were elementary school, second floor classroom, second exits, and I believe the other one was the middle school safer play recreation area. That's over here. So we're here, and specifically what I'm looking for is, has the engineering begun? Is the engineering complete? What is the estimated cost of each project, and what is the target completion date of each project? The 2023 community surveys identified school safety as an expectation and a high priority for school administration and board. These school safety projects are not restricted by budget, but by choice that is made. Also, it takes just one accidental or planned event to injure students and employees. The ramifications related to the injuries would be devastating to the families and the school district residents. Please focus on executing school safety projects as a priority. All parents of the District 107 students entrust the safety of their children while in school district care.
Okay, next is item 9, closed session. You need a motion for the Board of Education to go into closed session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee, specific individual who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in an educational setting, or a volunteer of the public body, or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity, and also collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Baca?
Yes.
Mrs. Linden? Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion?
Yes.